is very important to take soil samples. It really is the first opportunity for you to understand what's going on your landscape before you put your crop into the ground. For plants to grow big and strong, they really need to have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are the big nutrients or components that the plants are basically going to eat through their roots. So the first step in coming out to a landscape like this where you've got a raised bed is picking a bunch of different places randomly throughout the raised bed and taking a soil sample that can then be processed at the University of Georgia's lab in Athens to tell you how good your soil is for your crops. Make sure that you have enough soil to actually represent where the roots are going to go down into the ground. You can start as easy as just using a shovel. You could use a trowel, or you can use something like a probe. Just using your foot, pressing it into the ground. Sometimes I twist, and then you can get a nice core like that. So this is just part of a sample. I would again take maybe 8 to 10 of these cores, mix it in a bucket, and then from there, take a subsample of what's in your bucket and get it into a sample bag that will be processed by the University of Georgia's lab in Athens. The biggest thing about taking multiple samples for a subsample is you want this to be representative of your field or of your raised bed. And so the better that you mix this, whether it's by hand or by a trowel, the more accurate your sample is going to be. I always write on the bag first. When you filled it up, it's a little harder to actually get the writing on here. Make sure your contact info is there. Phone and email for sure. These results can be emailed to you. And we need a decent amount. There's a fill line on here. If you don't have these bags at home or at your school, you can always grab your sample if you're doing it in a Ziploc bag, and you can just bring that to the office, and then we'll process it for you from there. The lab will take this, grind it up, dry it, and then process it, basically like making coffee in the lab. And the liquid that comes out of this sample being filtered will then tell you what your phosphorus, your potassium, your zinc, your manganese, and the big thing is pH. And pH is really just how acidic or basic is the soil. It's on a scale from 1 to 14, but usually you're going to be around 6. That's kind of the goal. If it's too low, as in your soil is acidic, if it's like a 4 when the results come back, then you can use lime to bump it up to an acceptable level. If it's too high, you can use sulfur to bump it back down. A healthy soil can look like many different things. A good rule of thumb is the darker the soil, the more organic matter there probably is. And what I mean by organic matter is anything that's alive or that was once alive that's helping that soil live and breathe. The greater chance that that soil is going to have the nutrients that you need for your crops.